The natural world around us is simply amazing. You may not think twice about it, but all the animals on this planet, no matter how ordinary they can seem, are actually quite fascinating. They all contribute to the planet's ecosystem in their own little way and assist our environment in thriving day to day. For one woman, animals were what brought her most joy, so when she saw a squirrel struggling to eat in her yard, she knew she had to investigate. Young, undernourished, and dealing with a major dental problem, Janet Talbot knew if she didn't help the poor squirrel, he'd die. Thankfully, living on a ranch, Janet knew her way around animals and decided to give the squirrel a shot at a normal life. Living in the countryside of Canada, Janet Talbot had spent many days feeding the squirrels in her years. However, one day she noticed one particular squirrel that looks very odd. Struggling to eat, Talbot decided to investigate and discovered an animal desperately in need of her help. Living and working at the Double J Freedom Ranch on the outskirts of Alberta, Canada, Talbot has grown familiar with the many different creatures living on her land. Not only did she raise horses and cattle, but she also loved rescuing dogs in need of a home. According to Talbot, her love and compassion for animals started when she was a young girl. As an adult, it became her mission to rescue animals in need and had traveled to and from Mexico several times to rescue stray dogs who needed a home. Despite Talbot's favoritism towards her canine friends, she loves all animals big and small. Therefore, when she saw the little squirrel in need, her heart shattered. Then she decided to hatch a plan to help him out of his odd predicament. You won't believe what this poor squirrel was going through. When Talbot first noticed the squirrel in her backyard, first impressions were it was abnormally thin. However, upon closer inspection, she realized that the poor creature's teeth were radically overgrown. I saw this squirrel with this huge tooth coming out of his mouth, and it curled right around, and it was dangerously close to his eye, she told the local news, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's not good. I'm gonna trap this guy and get that tooth fixed for him. Talbot originally planned to set a live trap for the squirrel, but when she noticed it perched on her bird feeder, she knew she had to snare him while the opportunity was there. No matter what, she was going to help that poor squirrel. Once the little guy was caught, Talbot realized that his teeth were worse than she'd initially thought. Both the upper and lower incisors had grown so much that they'd now curled back into the little guy's mouth. There was no way he could possibly continue on in such a state. Due to the mess of his mouth, it became quite obvious why the squirrel looked so malnourished. But how had he survived this long? Talbot concluded he was likely surviving on the ground-up food she scattered on the ground for her wild finches, but even then it wasn't enough to nourish his body properly. In order to help him and correct his out-of-control teeth, Talbot began to research rodents. She discovered that squirrels have teeth that continue to grow throughout their lives. Usually it's not a problem because the incisors are ground down when they eat. However, if the teeth are damaged or grown in wrong, it can lead to overgrowth. Talbot knew the poor squirrel needed urgent dental care if it was going to survive. If the teeth continued to grow, they'd eventually pierce his skull and he'd die a very slow and painful death. Talbot told the CBC he couldn't live much longer the way he was because he couldn't actually chew his food. Refusing to let her new furry friend starve to death, Talbot began to research a crash course in rodent dentistry. She knew it would be a challenge, but she was determined to make the procedure a success. After she watched enough videos to feel confident in performing the procedure, Talbot set out to make the squirrel comfortable. She wrapped him tightly in a towel so he couldn't move and covered his eyes so he wouldn't see what she was doing. Finally, equipped with a pair of nail clippers, she easily snipped off the overgrown teeth. The little squirrel was on his best behavior through the entire procedure, and Talbot knew she was trying to help him. In an interview with the Dodo, Talbot revealed, "It took under 10 minutes. He was totally relaxed the whole time. It was kind of serious dentistry, but he was such a good patient." After the procedure, Talbot kept the squirrel inside her home to make sure he recovered okay. She decided to name him Bucky because of his teeth. Once Bucky began to show signs of energy, she knew it was time to release him back into the wild. Immediately after Bucky's release, it seemed he was determined to give his new teeth a trial run. "I put him back in the tree and he was so happy," Talbot stated to the local media. "He rubbed his little cheeks all on the bark like he couldn't believe that tusk was gone." It wouldn't take long for Bucky to adjust to his newfound dental freedom, all the while discovering his appreciation for better foods. According to Talbot, he's back to eating at the feeder, only this time he's enjoying the nuts. Unfortunately, Bucky's teeth will continue to grow like they did before, but hopefully this time they'll ground down as they're supposed to. If not, Talbot says she would happily help him again if necessary. Just as she helped Bucky, Talbot's commitment to helping animals is stronger than ever. "We share this planet with animals," Talbot told the dodo. "It's important we do our part and show compassion when we can." For Talbot, helping animals is just a natural part of her life, and she hopes to inspire others to do the same. If what I did for Bucky inspires someone else to help an animal in need, that's honestly a dream come true for me.